shortly, but ladies and gentlemen, I have no idea where he is. To be fair, I've been told he may be hiding under cardboard boxes somewhere, and you guys have to find him. But ladies and gentlemen, in the meantime, it's my pleasure to introduce a great group of guys back here. They are going to be taking you through the next 40 minutes or so with David Hayter at some point. It is the brilliant SuperNerds!
Hello, we are the SuperNerds UK. You okay, guys? Woo! I was giving you some 3D much better reaction. You can have Tim. My name is Ben.
I'm Ian. And I'm Tim. Hello.
I'm Simon.
And I'm John.
And we basically host a pop culture podcast, which is like every 2 weeks on iTunes and various other internet things. Does anyone else listen to podcasts? Yes.
One.
We've got one subscriber. Two. Fantastic. How's everyone doing today? Are we okay? Woo! So we all come to see David Hayter?
Yeah. Not those, yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know who we are. He's not here yet.
No. Yeah, he's just hiding in his stealth suit somewhere.
I think so. David?
No. I'm just overwhelmed by some of the cosplay here today.
It's been a lot of awesome cosplay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, hello. Can you actually see us okay? Yeah. That's a good thing if you can't.
Yeah. Did you feel quite bitter when you didn't get the Undersea Kingdom?
No, I'm alright. I'll branch out.
You've dealt with that? You've dealt with that? Yeah. Okay. What else have we got? We've got... I see Super Mario. Where's your moustache?
It's on Superman.
Yeah.
Superman's got a moustache in the Justice League film. What's that about? I think we're okay.
He's here.
Ladies and gentlemen, it gives us an absolute great pleasure to introduce David Hayter.
Kept you waiting, huh? How are you, Manchester?
Just about woken up, I think. It's still early.
Yes, it is. Well, nice to see you all. Thank you for having me.
It's your pleasure.
I'm very well, thank you. Thrilled to be here.
So what have you been up to this morning then that kept you so fashionably late?
Oh, well, I was signing autographs and saying hello to people and
All that good stuff.
I don't know. I got up. I'm still jet lagged, so I got up at 6:30 in the morning and I edited a script and did some work and caught up on the horrible news.
So you said edited the script. What are you editing, or are you?
I'm working. The one I was working on this morning is a show. I don't want to say what it is yet, but it's for E1 Canada, and they asked me if I would be a script supervisor on it, like a supervising producer.
Oh, okay.
So I got the draft, and I figured, well, I'm awake, so I might as well do some work.
Never stop. Yeah. So you've got quite the history as a screenwriter.
Yes, I'd like to think so.
I think you did. So was that what you started off in before acting, or did it all come together?
No, I started off as an actor. I was 9 years old when I did my first play in California, and no, I'd always intended to just be an actor, but I wasn't making enough money to survive, so I produced and starred in a little film called Burn in '98, and then I through a crazy series of events, I ended up writing the script for the first X-Men movie in 2000, and then I was a screenwriter.
And that was that?
That was that.
So X-Men, before I go into anything else, I'd really like to drill you on some X-Men stuff.
Please, go for it.
How much freedom did you get when you were writing the X-Men script?
Very, very little. Well, I mean, it was a weird thing, you know. I was friends with the director, and I was hired to answer the phones. It's the craziest Hollywood story. And then he just started having me rewrite scenes, and so, Brian Singer would sort of tell me basically what he wanted. I would write what I wanted, and then I'd take a deluge of notes from the studio, but at the same time it really came down to whatever Brian wanted. You know, if Brian liked it, then it was in. If he didn't, it was out.
So X-Men was basically the movie that started everything with regards to superhero films.
Yeah. Well, it was the first. It was the first comic book movie that wasn't Superman or Spider-Man or Batman, and the studio was very, very nervous about that. I mean, the movie Blade came out before, and that was a big hit. That showed that you could do comic book movies outside of the big three, basically. But X-Men was even bigger and was certainly a bellwether of things to come. So,
did it surprise you that it was so big?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I was a big X-Men fan. I was a fan of the comic books, so I knew that it was cool. But nobody, you know, the studio didn't know if it was going to work. We didn't know if it was going to work. Everybody thought it was going to be a disaster, really. And our first cut was 2 hours and 10 minutes long, so and we didn't have enough action to fill the movie, so we called it Woody Allen's X-Men, because everybody was just talking, and then we cut it down to 94 minutes or whatever, and then it seemed to come alive.
Was there anything you really wanted to get into that script that was noted out, should we say?
Well, yeah, many things. I mean, mostly, you know, we had the Danger Room at one point. We had Beast, but we couldn't afford Beast. At least we couldn't afford to have him do any action. So he was in many drafts of the script, but then he had to break his leg before the third act because, you know, they go to the Statue of Liberty, and I had a whole sequence where he was like swinging through the interior of the statue and climbing to the top. And they were like, we can't afford that. And so I was like, well, what if we break his leg? And then after a while, we were like, that's just stupid. So, yeah, it was like, it was in the Danger Room. It was a sequence in the Danger Room, and Magneto came in and like threw a locker at him and broke his leg, and it got cut. So it was probably best that it.
Were there any characters that you wanted in there that couldn't get in?
They had pretty much decided what characters were in the movie before I started working on it. No, there wasn't anybody that I really wanted in that wasn't. But I really, when I was a kid, we used to play X-Men, and I was always Cyclops. So I really wanted to make sure that Cyclops got his proper due, because he, you know, typically when I'm not on an X-Men movie, he gets screwed.
He gets killed off screen.
Yeah, he gets killed off screen, and he just doesn't get the kind of respect that he deserves. And it's like, without Cyclops, the whole Wolverine thing doesn't work as well. You know, you need somebody who's the leader, who follows the rules to bounce off of Wolverine. So
you can't be a rebel if you've got nothing to rebel against.
Exactly. So you know, and it really creates that lovely love triangle between him and Jean and Wolverine. So
X-Men was a huge hit.
Yeah, it did all right.
It did really well. You still see people cosplaying the dark version of those characters now. The comics even changed to reflect that with Grant Morrison's new X-Men. They copied the leather suits. You moved on to X-Men 2. How much of that was David Hayter, and how much of that was studio notes or other people?
Well, that was a lot more of me, even than the first one, I'm trying to imitate Chris McQuarrie's voice. He was the writer before me, and a very good friend, and a brilliant writer. He wrote Usual Suspects. The second one, and the first movie is all set. Like, I mean, it's all just, this is why they have the names that they do. This is why they have a jet. This is why, you know, it's all explanations of what mutants are. And so when we did the second one, I asked Brian, I said, we need to do all that setup again. He goes, no, we assume everybody's seen the first movie, we just hit the ground running. And so as soon as he said that, I wrote the opening sequence with Nightcrawler attacking the White House, and that stayed pretty much intact from the moment I wrote it. And so there was a lot more of my voice in it. And then also, you know, Mike Doherty and Dan Harris, who came in. I was in Australia when they shot it, so they did the on-set work, and so there's a lot of them as well. But there's a lot of cool stuff that I was able to put in there, and I'm very, very proud of that movie. That's probably my favorite movie I ever worked on.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Big achievement, I suppose.
I don't think I've ever said it before, so there's an exclusive for you.
the Nightcrawler scene in particular, I'm glad to hear that was yours because that was absolutely phenomenal.
I love that.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I mean, you know, look, it was quite brilliantly written, of course, but Bryan Singer directed the hell out of it. I mean, it was just the visuals and just the impact of that sequence is astounding, and a lot of that is Bryan and Alan Cumming and just the effects people, and so many people really, you know, made it come to life. But one of the producers yelled at me and said, "You can't have a mutant attack the president. This is America." And I was like, "Well, I'm from Canada, so I can do it." Yeah, everybody's around to do it. I mean, yeah, if you don't attack the president, who will?
It'd be different to write X-Men in a post-Trump world.
But yeah, when the president's a mutant.
Post-Trump world. Then we've got Logan.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, the wall. Yeah.
I'll just be happy when we have a post-Trump world.
If we get there.
If we
hoping we're all going to survive the next 4 years.
Yeah, we'll see.
Speaking of apocalyptic events, I believe you wrote the script for Watchmen.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Yeah, 9 years I worked on that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Watchmen was known as being notoriously one of the most difficult comic to film translations.
Sure.
But also the closest to comic.
So how much of a struggle was writing Watchmen?
Well, you know, I hate to say it, it wasn't that much of a struggle to write it. Yeah, it's complex and it's very, you know, there's a lot to it, but it's not like Lord of the Rings. I mean, Lord of the Rings is 3 huge books. This was 12 comic books, and it wasn't that difficult to condense. What was difficult was protecting it from the 4 different studios we worked with, developing the movie. You know, nobody really got it, and I would have constant fights with the studios. You know, somebody once said, you know, we don't. An executive said to me, "I don't understand the script," and I said, "Well, you do understand the script because your notes clearly indicate that you understand it. You're just afraid the audience won't understand it." And I'm here to tell you this is one of the most brilliant stories ever written. So it was really a matter of, it wasn't hard writing, it was hard protecting it. You know, that was.
I read somewhere that your draft was set in modern day. It was contemporary.
Well,
the first draft was it?
Yeah, not the first draft. I think the first draft was set in the 80s, but along the way, one of the studios asked if we could set it in modern day. And I thought that was fair, so I figured we could tell the same story. And we could actually apply all the Vietnam stuff to, you know, Iraq or Afghanistan or whatever war we were in at the time. But yeah, by the time I handed it over to Warner Brothers, it was set precedent.
Were you happy with what turned out, or what the finished film was?
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, you know, my goal was always that it be a Watchmen adaptation, you know, that it really would truly be from the pages of that book. I mean, I think Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons' vision was so astounding, and you know, when you adapt something, you say, okay, well, what works and what doesn't, and it's like, it's all so mind-bogglingly brilliant as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, I was thrilled that we made a movie that really honored the book.
It was almost identical in some ways, like certain scenes and background characters and everything.
Yeah, I almost wanted it to be more identical. I mean, because the brilliant thing about Watchmen, the book, to me, is that almost every sentence that's said in the book is counterpointed by a visual that is ironically commenting on what's being said. So, you know, I really wanted it to be, you know, spot on, beat for beat. And it's not always like that, but you know, to have gone through the process and then ended up with something that wasn't totally, you know, bastardized was very gratifying.
And of course, you got incredible praise from Alan Moore. Apparently, your script was.
Yeah, that was very kind.
And Alan Moore doesn't like anything.
No, he does. Well, he doesn't like. What he doesn't like is Hollywood, and I don't blame him. It's a
tough place.
It's a tough place, and they're very tough, particularly on edgy, brilliant ideas.
Yeah.
And but I got his phone number from a reporter, and I just called him at home, and I said, you know, look, I want you to understand. I know you don't like Hollywood, but I'm adapting your masterpiece. I want you to know how much I love it, and I want to give you the opportunity to have as much participation or as little participation as you like, but please know that my goal is to keep it as true to the book as possible. And you know, I asked him if he wanted to be involved, and he said, "Oh no, David, you know, you know, the book was my story, and the movie's your story, and you just give me a call anytime you've got any questions." And so I would call him from time to time and say, "Alan, are you busy?" And he's like, "Oh no, I'm just baking muffins." And he couldn't have been lovelier. I mean, you know, people are terrified of Alan, and rightfully so. He's an enormous, crazy person, but he was very, very respectful of me as a writer and very supportive. So I couldn't have been more grateful for that interaction.
That's fantastic. When you said bacon muffins, I imagine each one will be yellow with a little smiley face.
I've spent the
yeah, and I'm wondering what's in those muffins.
a bit of jam coming out the eye.
Space muffins.
Yeah, space muffins, David.